You stand in the Janissary Barracks, Istanbul, 1574. Janissaries of the Ottoman Empire crowd the cauldron. Fat spits. Vinegar stings the nose. Drums snap like commands. The korbacha raises his ladle. Bowls slam down. A leather skin hits your hand. Drink. The liquid bites, then warms. An officer watches your throat. You swallow and pass it on. A steward tastes the soup first. No one talks. The Kazan boils hard. A spill brings lashes. You grip your spoon and move with a line. One mistake here draws blood. He nods. The first bowls go out. Thick broth. Then pilaf, heavy with butter. A tray of meat passes. A yellow sweet waits for the last line. Another skin circles. The men tap spoons on belts. A short prayer rolls and falls. The tent trembles from the drumheads. The cup returns to you. The sour cuts through the grease, your hands steady. The right decides who belongs. Now the shift. The Corps called this hearth the okak, and the cauldron the Kazan-ı Şerif. The soup man, the chorbaja, ruled from that pot. Sharing the Sultan's food marked loyalty. Flipping the cauldron signaled revolt. Kitchen words became ranks. Cooks marched under guard. Ladles and kettles served as standards. Punishments followed mess and disobedience. The table trained courage by repetition. This is not hospitality, it is control. Before battle, the kitchen worked all night. Dawn meant hot soup, fast. Pilaf followed. Meat arrived when fires allowed. On feast days, saffron zerdi sweetened the line. The barracks kept boza, a low-alcohol fermented grain drink. Men praised its warmth and quick strength. Some claimed it slowed the head. Officers rationed it. The edge between nerve and chaos stayed thin. Food here is a weapon. Why now? Modern units, teams and movements still use food, drink, and precise timing to forge loyalty and push aggression. The Janissary table shows how menus can shape behavior and risk. Back to the yard. The drummer quickens. The steward checks the bowls again. The cup flashes under the lamp. A veteran whispers, "Small sips." The liquid is sharper this time. Not boza. Your tongue tightens. The men stare ahead. No one flinches. The line moves as one. The savush counts the ranks. A guard seals the skins and steps away. The cup moves faster than orders. The Corps tied identity to this sequence. First the soup, then the grain, then the meat, then the sweet. Drinks came between. Hands learned the pace. Stomachs learned the hour. The body learned to obey. On campaign, the kitchen pitched first and struck last. The hearth fixed the march. The cauldron stood like a banner. The men called it sacred. The room accepted that fact. No one argued with a hot pot and an armed cook. Discipline tastes like fat and acid. Rumors still push through the ranks. On some roads, a banned taste slipped in. Veterans called it medicine. Preachers called it sin. A dervish would bless a table and say nothing about the cup. Officers watched, but did not stop it. The right swallowed the taste and kept moving. The men said the table killed fear. They said the cup turned boys into iron. What exactly filled the bowls and skins on the eve of combat? Which forbidden drink entered the right and changed the night? The ladle drops, bowls move, the cup stops in front of you again, your officer waits for your swallow. The drumline clears your thoughts. The cauldron feeds the courage, but the cup sets the edge. What is in it and why did they trust it? Pre-dawn. The Janissary kitchen moved at speed. Fires roared. The korbacha stood over the Kazan-ı Şerif. The first pot held meat broth, salted and greasy. Another boiled tarhana soup, sour from fermented dough and yogurt. A third pot thickened with wheat and chickpeas. Cooks skimmed foam, tasted, nodded. Bread racks came forward, fat pots opened. Clarified butter slid across pilaf trays. A steward lined bowls in order. The camp woke to command by ladle. Discipline started with the first smell. At first light, the sequence never changed. Soup to steady stomachs, pilav to load the body, yani, a meat stew, when fire's allowed. On feast days, the yellow sweet zerdy closed the line. If fallen comrades were named, Helva followed the prayers. The regiment drank between courses. Boza came in skins, a low alcohol fermented grain drink, thick, sour, faintly sweet. Veterans said it warmed the chest and kept hands from shaking. Officers rationed it to keep step and speech even. The cup moved as fast as orders. Food fixed the pace of fear. Barracks rules set taboos. No one ate before the steward tasted. No spoon stood upright in a bowl. It meant death ahead. No one stepped over a ladle. No bowl left the circle full. Waste drew curses. The men carried spoons on their caps as signs of the order. The kitchen ranks mirrored the line of battle. A sloppy station brought punishment. A clean line brought praise. The pot taught obedience with heat and timing. The spoon was a badge and a leash. What filled the skins besides boza? Water cut with vinegar, circly sue, was common on the march. The sour drink cooled heads in heat and masked stale water. Sherbets appeared when supply carts reached them. Rose, tamarind, or verjuice for a sharp bite. On some routes, a thicker wheat porridge, keshkek, showed up before long rides. The cooks said it sat heavy and stayed. Men chewed garlic and onions for strength when meat ran thin. Salt was never far from any bowl. The body learned the menu like drill. This was their pre-battle table. The steaks rose beyond taste. The okak, the hearth, was sacred property. Ladles traveled under guard-like standards. A dropped bowl could halt a company. Flipped cauldrons meant mutiny. Punishment struck fast to keep the pot's authority intact. The kitchen did not only feed, it judged. Officers watched lips as closely as hands. A man who refused the bowl risked the stick. A man who rushed the cup risked the same. The line moved as one body because the table made it so. Ritual turned eating into a test. A foreshadow ran beside the routine. The corpse spiritual friends, the Bektashi dervishes, blessed tables on campaign. Their prayers soothed nerves. Their hymns promised fearlessness. Some veterans said the blessing changed not only hearts, but cups. No one spoke of it in the open. The skins looked the same. The smell sometimes did not. The savush counted faster on those nights. Drums hit harder. Sleep came late and shallow. Something sharper waited beyond the sour. Why now? Because modern units still use food, timing, and group cups to lock bodies to commands. Sports, hazing, and extremist cells copy the same sequence. The Janissary routine shows how menus can push courage and blunt hesitation. It also shows how a line between lawful drink and banned drink can blur when fear needs help. Back to the yard, same day. The soup moves first. Pilaf lands heavy. Stew follows in thick spoons. Boza warms throats. Vinegar water rinses mouths. Hands steady. Voices quiet. The steward signals a pause. A new skin appears with a dervish at his shoulder. The officer breaks the seal. He watches the men, not the cup. The drumline waits for his nod. The cup that follows does not smell like boza. The officer nods. The new skin opens. The cup moves. The smell is sharper than boza. The men drink in order. No faces change. The chorbachi watches hands and throats. A dervish stands near the fire and murmurs a blessing. The drumline holds a steady roll. The camp notes the change and says nothing. The rite continues. The kitchen now touches the palace walls. Beyond the yard, the core spreads through the city. Kavahan, coffee houses, fill with Janissaries. Craftsmen, scribes. Bozahan, boza shops do the same. News moves in cups. Songs turn into slogans. Petitions start on sticky tables and reach the palace gate by dusk. Edicts try to slow it. Coffee bans come and go. Boza rules tighten, loosen, then tighten again. Police raid a shop. Another shop opens on the next street. The network survives because it is liquid and fast. Bans fail when the cup moves faster. Inside the barracks, symbols harden. The cauldron stands like a standard. Ladles hang beside flags. The spoon on the cap marks the order to any watcher. Punishments defend the ritual. A spill draws lashes. A refusal draws worse. The core treats food service as the core of identity. The men who guard the pots guard the honor of the whole, Okak. A clean line around the cauldron means the regiment will hold its place in battle. A flipped pot means the Sultan has a problem he cannot ignore. One table can shake a throne. Time jump, 1589, 1622. The core grows bolder. Kitchen words turn into public threats. When pay runs late, they march with ladles like clubs. When policy angers them, they gather at coffee houses and move to the square. Viziers fall. Palace kitchens send dishes to calm the lines. Sometimes it works, sometimes it does not. The state studies the core's food and drink to read mood. A quiet bozahan means peace. A crowded one means trouble. Whispers travel faster than drums. Back to the campaign road. A dervish lodge receives the regiment at dusk. A long cloth goes down. Bowls appear in rows, bread, salt, olives, halva. The dervish leads a hymn. He blesses the table. He blesses the skins. The men answer Amin. The officer watches the faces, not the cups. The smell carries a note he does not name. The blessing ends. The dervish smiles and steps back. The line drinks without comment. The right folds the new taste into old steps. Second foreshadow. A sacred meal that allows a sharper cup. The stakes now reach the realm. Decades later, the palace will try to cut the core from its liquid networks. New edicts warn against late-night coffee, tobacco, and strong drink. Patrols search streets. Punishments rise. Preachers denounce shops where soldiers and poets mix. Still, the tables fill. The cauldron in the yard anchors a wider system the palace cannot fully see. The kitchen keeps the core together when money fails and orders wobble. It also gives them a tool to move as one against the state. Why now? Because governments still fear places where food and talk mix into action. Today, it is group chats and late-night diners. In the 17th century, it was coffee houses and boza shops. The mechanism is the same: timed cups, shared rules, and fast rumor. The officer returns to the yard. The men line up for final checks: soup, pilaf, meat, sweet. Boza in measured sips. Vinegar, water to rinse. Then the other skin. The dervish stands near the door and folds his hands. The officer stops him. The camp falls quiet. He asks a simple question. Who sealed this? The steward looks to the floor. The line does not move. The forbidden cup has a guardian and a name, but no one speaks it. The chorbacha takes the skin in both hands and raises it to his lips. The chorbacha lifts the skin. He drinks first. He passes it to the officer. The officer drinks. The line drinks in order. The smell is not boza. The dervish watches in silence. No one speaks the name. The rite absorbs the cup and moves on. The secret sits inside the blessing. The core's spiritual partner is the Bektashi order. Its lodges shelter Janissaries on campaign. Its leaders visit barracks and tables. In their right, a shared cloth, sofra, is spread. Bread, salt, olives, and halva mark fellowship. A small cup follows the hymn. In some circles, that cup holds wine. In others, raka stands in its place. The dervish calls it dem, breath, and treats it as symbolic, not tavern drinking. The blessing frames the sip as a sign of unity and fearlessness. The men learn that the same liquid, inside a prayer, carries a different name and rule. Law says no. Ritual says yes. Ottoman law bans wine for Muslims, and officials raid shops when rulers push reform. Yet palace and street show gaps. Soldiers hold Bektashi ties. Dervishes bless Janissary tables. The sacred frame protects the act. The cup moves under a hymn. The state sees fewer seams than it thinks. The Corps learns that rules bend when identity is at stake. A band taste enters the barracks by the front door, wrapped in prayer. A time jump clarifies the pressure. 1633-1640. Sultan Murad IV launches hard bans on coffee, tobacco, and alcohol in Istanbul. Patrols cut down violators. Coffee houses close, reopen, close again. The aim is order and focus. The Janissaries listen and adjust. They drink in lodges. They bless first, sip second. The liquid remains. The name changes. The authority shifts from law to ritual. The rite keeps the nerve steady before battle, and the group tight after payday. Sacred words can change a liquid's name. Back to the yard. The officer lowers the cup. He watches the men for signs. There are none. The dervish ends the hymn. The steward seals the skin and sets it aside. Soup, pilaf, meat, sweet. The line continues. The savush counts. The drumline lifts. The men carry a warm chest and a calm face. The secret is now part of the sequence. The forbidden drink is wine, or raka, used in Bektashi Blessed Fellowship, connected to the Janissary table. It is not bar drinking. It is a ritual sip presented as duty. The effect matters more than the volume. The sip marks who belongs and who obeys when fear rises. Another edge appears beside it. March water turns foul in heat. Cooks cut it with vinegar, circuli su, to keep men steady and awake. Syrups of vinegar and honey, sekanjaban or oxymel, circulate in the Islamic world as cooling, quick tonics. Sherbets of tamarind or verjuice add sharpness when supply allows. These cups sit on the line with boza and the Bektashi sip. Together they build a timed ladder from warmth to bite. The body climbs that ladder without comment. Why now? Because modern groups still launder banned or risky acts through ritual language. A symbol moves first. A small sip follows. The rule changes by context. Understanding this switch explains how units build boldness and, at times, license cruelty. Back to the scene. The men receive final orders, form ranks, oil weapons, sealskins, sleep in turns. The officer posts a guard at the kitchen. The dervish leaves without a word. The chorbacha locks the ladle in a chest. The camp darkens. The cup has done its work. Nerves drop. Jokes return. Feet stop shaking. Did these timed foods and sanctified sips harden the psyche and sharpen brutality on contact with the enemy? Dawn drums answer before anyone speaks. Dawn hits. The men form ranks. The chorbacha posts guards at the cauldron. The steward seals the skins. Soup first, fast. Pilaf next, heavy and hot. Meat in thick spoons. Boza in measured pulls. Vinegar water to clear mouths. The Bektashi blessed sip moves once, then vanishes. Faces set, hands still. The drumline rises. The cup steadies hands. The drum sets courage. Orders crack across the yard. Files step forward. The savush checks belts and blades. Breath clouds in the cool air. The men touch spoons on their caps. A short prayer. Silence answers. They march. The kitchen fire drops to embers. The ladle locks away. The cauldron stands like a charge. No one will break. Hunger becomes order. Order becomes motion. On the field, they hold to pace. Shields and bodies align. The first flight hisses past. The second flight thuds into leather and wood. The front rank lowers steel. The corpse advances by the count they learned at the hearth. One breath, one step. The sour taste lingers. Nerves fall into line. The officer watches eyes. He sees no tremor. The line eats, then it fights. Close-range sound now. Boots grind. Straps creak. Men call numbers, not names. The drum answers each pace. The warm chest from soup meets the cold air. Hands move without shake. The sour at the back of the tongue keeps focus tight. A veteran mouths the hymn's last word and bites down. The push begins. The front rank holds, the rear rank fills gaps. No one looks back. Discipline narrows into a single command. They reach contact. Noise spikes. Faces harden. The first shove wins ground. The second fixes it. The leader signals. The block turns as taught. The core's rhythm, drilled at the pot, runs through bodies. Hesitation breaks elsewhere. It does not break here. A man slips on blood-wet earth, rises, and falls back into step. Another takes a hit, grunts, and holds the line. The group carries the weight. The officer notes it. The table did this. The cauldron's law follows them into blood. Minutes stack. The push slackens. The drum eases. The men breathe in short pulls. The officer orders a halt. He walks the front. Eyes meet his. They are dull with effort, not fear. He nods and turns. The line reforms. The corps steps forward again. No one reaches for a skin without leave. No one breaks formation to chase or boast. The lesson from the yard holds. Eat in order, drink in order, move in order, live. The timed foods and sanctified sips hardened their nerve and shortened hesitation. The right carried into contact. It did not make new courage from nothing. It aimed what was there and removed the shake. Back at the field kitchen, fires jump to life. The steward opens the chest. The ladle returns to the pot. Bowls line up again. The same sequence runs. Soup, grain, meat. Sweet if named. Lips crack small smiles. Jokes restart. A guard watches the skins. The Bektashi man stands apart and sings under his breath. The officer lets it pass. He needs quiet bodies and a steady night. Why now? Because this is how groups turn fear into action. The menu and the minute hand do the work that words cannot. The right binds, focuses, and sometimes licenses hardness that would shock anyone man alone. Night falls. The yard darkens. The cauldron cools. The guards trade shifts. A wind slips through the tents. Someone laughs and stops. The chorbacha stands by the pot and listens. He knows the table can build unity. He also knows the same table, once betrayed, can spark revolt. What price will this ritual demand from the corps itself? A runner arrives from the city before dawn. A seal hangs from his neck string. He asks for the chorbacha by name. The guard points to the cauldron. The letter opens over the hearth. The next order will test the pot. The seal breaks. The order is simple. March at dawn. Put down a tax riot. No delays. The chorbacha reads twice. He looks at the cauldron. He knows the table can build courage. He also knows it can spark revolt if mishandled. He posts guards on the kitchen and sends the runner back with one word. Understood. One hearth holds loyalty, revolt, and fear. 3 months later, the corps returns. Pay runs late. The yard fills. The men form a ring around the Kazan-ı Şerif. The officer asks for patience. The line grumbles. A ladle drops. The chorbacha lifts the pot's rim and sets it down again with force. The message is clear. Not yet. The men obey. Food moves. The crisis passes. The table buys the state another week. A flipped pot can unseat a throne. Time jump. Years roll. 1589 to 1622 to 1703. The pattern hardens. When respect holds, the cauldron feeds and steadies. When trust breaks, the same cauldron becomes a banner. The corps overturns it and marches. Viziers fall. Edicts reverse. The palace sends trays to soothe the ranks. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it fails. The ritual that forged unity also furnishes a switch. The state watches the pot to read the mood. The corps learns that fear moves when the pot moves. Bands rise. The cup finds a path. The network around the barracks thickens. Kavahan and Bozahan hum again. Prayers in dervish lodges cover cups the street would forbid. Patrols raid at night. Locks turn again in the morning. The kitchen keeps its rhythm. Soup, grain, meat, sweet. Boza measured. Vinegar water cut sharp. A Bektashi sip under him. Before battle, the sequence narrows minds and binds hands. After battle, the same sequence binds anger and memory. It binds men to each other first, to the palace second. The last ladle becomes a signal. Time jump, 1826. The corps now defies reform. Orders come from Mahmud II. New troops deploy. Artillery faces the barracks. The cauldrons sit under guard. Drums beat. The corps forms. They overturn pots to show revolt. The palace answers with cannon. Smoke takes the yard. Fires eat timbers. The okak, the hearth, breaks. Survivors scatter or submit. The Bektashi order is suppressed. Lodges close. The old table ends in ash. The price lands in one day. The ritual that once shielded the corps marks it for destruction. A table can end the army it made. Back to the chamber 1 year later. A new unit drills in silence. No ladles on flags, no spoons on caps. The kitchen still feeds, but it does not rule. The pot is a tool again. The right is gone. The state has removed the signal that once called down ministers and massed crowds. The food still warms. The vinegar still bites. The men still need courage. They must find it without the old sequence. The ritual demanded a high price. It built unity and nerve. It also gave the corps a trigger for revolt and a mark for their final purge. The same cauldron that made them feared made them visible. When the palace chose to strike, it knew exactly where to aim. You step into the yard. Heat rises from the old stones. The sour climbs the throat even in memory. The spoon at your belt feels heavy. You hear a drum that is not there, and you understand what the cup once did. The table that feeds an army can also end it. If you were in that line, would you take the blessed sip? Subscribe for more on Ottoman and Janissary ritual, and comment with the one custom you would keep or refuse.